Example 4, we're going to do another proof. And we're going to start with our given information, where AB is congruent to AD. AB is congruent to AD, and BC is congruent to CD. And that is our given information. That's the reason we know that it is true. I'm going to trust it. Now let's take special note. What are we trying to prove here? We are trying to prove that the angles are congruent. So we're going to take a hint from this and we're going to say, well, we're probably going to need to first prove that the triangles are congruent and then prove that the angles are congruent. And that is going to lead us to our special CP/CTC. So we're going to look forward on that. The next thing that I can determine here is that AC is congruent to AC. And hopefully you're getting really comfortable with this one. It's going to happen a lot. This is the reflexive property. Now I want to know, are the triangles congruent? Well, it looks like I've got some side-side-side congruency here. So I'm going to say that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle. And if I went from A to B to C, I'm going to need to go from A to D to C, ADC. And the reason is side-side-side congruency theorem. But that wasn't what we were looking for. We were looking for, are the angles congruent? So now that I'm here on this part, I'm going to be able to say that yes, angle BCA is congruent to angle DCA. BCA is this angle right here, and DCA is this angle right here. And the reason that that is true is because if those triangles are congruent, then the parts have to be congruent. So we're going to say that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. CP/CTC. And that is our reason. Go ahead, pause the video, do the try it, and come back and check your answers. So X is a midpoint of those two lines. That was our given information. From that, we determined that this part and this part are congruent, and this part and this part are congruent. So we will say that WX is congruent to YX. And that is definition of midpoint. We're also going to be able to say that VX is congruent to ZX. And that is also a definition of a midpoint. The next thing I see is that this angle is congruent to this angle. So I'm going to say that angle ZXY is congruent to angle VXW. And that is because of the vertical angles theorem. I now have enough information to be able to say that those triangles are congruent. So I'm going to say triangle VXW is congruent to triangle. And if I started with V, I'm going to want to start with Z, ZXY. And it is possible you wrote down different triangle order here as long as it was correctly ordered. And the reason for this was side angle side congruency theorem. But that is not what they were asking for. They wanted us to prove angles were congruent. So we're not quite done, but we did prove that the triangles were congruent. So now we can look at angle XWV and angle XYZ. That's this one here. And we can say that those are congruent. And our reason for that is that corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Oops. I'll put it all on the screen for you.